This is pretty typical of what the area has looked like. There are some mature trees, but there's also just a whole lot of this bush honeysuckle in the area that has had to be cleared. Most of the space you weren't able to walk through before we started on it. It was just too heavily overgrown. You couldn't get through it. This is a spot sort of adjacent to the property owned by Helen Wrench. It's actually owned by the city, back to the fence line that you can see. And here I've cleared out most of the bush honeysuckle. A lot of the euonymus still remains. It's really hard to kill that even with the glyphosate, because it's just, it's just tenacious. So what I've been doing is lopping off the top little bit of it with the trimmer, the line trimmer, and then coming back through and treating it with the glyphosate on top of that. That's something I got from reading an article online, and it actually seems to have worked in some places. You can see right here, this application was done about a month ago, and it's died back a lot from where it was. This is an area that hasn't had any sort of treatment to the euonymus, and it's just growing everywhere. It's very thick. Haven't really gotten around to this part yet. You can see how it grows up the trees, and of course after a while that tree will die if you don't get rid of the euonymus. Normally I go around and cut a section out of it so that it's as close to the base as I can get, and then up about a foot or so, and then I treat that with the glyphosate 50-50 mix. A lot of times when the honeysuckle is really small like this, the root's very tiny. It's just a little short one and only has one. On a bigger bush, it's way too big for this. But on the really tiny ones, what I like to do is just grab them and pull them out. And it pulls out pretty much all the root like that. I don't think very much of it would be left in there. That has the advantage of just getting rid of the plant entirely, rather than cutting off the top and then treating it, or just spraying the top of it, in which case it's going to be here for quite some time and then we'd have to pull it out. So anyway, a lot of times when they're tiny, I just pull them out by the root. This particular honeysuckle is a lot bigger. In the notes that I got, it said 8 feet tall on them, but really this is more like 10 or 12 feet tall. And if you look down at the base of it, you can see that, I'd say that's about a 2-inch diameter. Of course, there are two stumps involved there, but each one's probably about 2 inches, something like that. The structure of the honeysuckle is such that it's very hard to cut the base with the chainsaw without having it fall all over you. So what I've been doing is using these loppers. So they're the Steel brand. They're really good for the purpose because they're really tough. They're supposed to cut something up to 2 inches, but it won't. So if you go about 1 inch, it's usually the biggest you can do, 1.25 inches, something like that. So I'm going to cut off the top limbs, leaving a really high stump, and then I'll come back and clear that out with the chainsaw. Alright, well, as you can see, pretty much no matter what you do, they're going to fall down and hit you in the head. But they're pretty lightweight, and it's not that big of a deal. You just lop them off like this. Now I'm going to clear it away and use the chainsaw. It's a little bit loud with the chainsaw going, but here I'm just going to trim it off fairly close to the ground. Alright, so now it's chainsawed off close to the ground, and I've got a bottle that I've mixed 50-50 with the glyphosate. I've gotten the glyphosate with the surfactants added, and all that kind of stuff. So we don't have to worry about it. Although I'm not sure that matters on the stump, but that's the way I've done it. So it's a bottle I can just kind of drip some stuff out. All right, so I've treated that. I've put some on the stump. A lot of times if it dries out really fast, I come by and put a little bit more on it, which it has here. All right, so then in the spring, when this is completely dead, I'll come all around with a pickaxe and or a weed wrench and just pull the root out of the ground, which is, on one this size, not as hard as it seems like it might be. It's actually pretty easy. This is an area along Lee's Creek which was totally infested with the bush honeysuckle, and you couldn't walk through here, you couldn't see through here, you didn't even know the creek was there. And now, with most of that removed, you can see that we have a really wide opening, and I'll walk on up to the creek. There's still some honeysuckle on the far side that I'm going to do next. But you can see now we have a nice view of the creek and a bunch of euonymus that we still need to get rid of. It's everywhere. But it's nice to have this creek view. And people really love walking through here and seeing all of the improvements that have been made. Helen Wrench's property borders Bradley Park here in Midway, and so this is sort of a dual effort. I've been working on clearing out the park, and I've been working on clearing out Helen's territory over here, which she very graciously allows the city to use as part of the walking trail paths and park and so forth and so on. The park is a lot bigger than just this one end, so it's going to be probably several years to get rid of as much of the honeysuckle and euonymus as we can. As you can see, the euonymus is just sort of everywhere, and it's a real process getting rid of it, but I think it'll be worth the effort, and in the end we'll have just a lovely park along a lovely and historic creek here in lovely and historic Midway, Kentucky.